Control tries to force outcomes. Authority creates order that produces outcomes. Many founders confuse control with leadership. Authority creates structure that makes control unnecessary altogether. In fact, it allows for flow. When you think about a water hose and you're actually letting water go through it, but yet it gets crimped, what happens to the water? Of course, it gets constricted. It can't move forward. It can't flow, which means you're not getting the nutrients to your leadership or to your business. Most founders, business owners, and leaders don't fully appreciate that they oftentimes are the bottleneck or the crimping of their own hose. So much of growing in business is allowing the business to grow organically and consistently over time, which is why I wanted to give you this video. For over 2 decades, I spent more time trying to predict and control outcomes rather than setting up the processes and systems to make those outcomes a reality with or without my presence in the business. That's what I want for you. If you're going to lead an organization, you're going to grow a company that is meaningful and has legacy and long lasting, then ultimately at the end of the day, we have to focus more on the machine and less on the control. Consider this first thing. Control is fear-based leadership. Control usually begins when a leader doesn't trust the system, the team, or the process. They feel forced to intervene constantly. What we don't realize, much like in my own case, a number of years ago, is that intervention is causing chaos. Chaos cannot be compounded. However, clarity can. Leaders often justify control by being responsible or under the guise of stewardship. But stewardship allows things to compound on its own, and it doesn't require constant overseeing in order to make that compounding possible. But here's the thing. Underneath, it's usually fear of things falling apart without them than it is things coming together without them. When you think about your overall endeavor, your business, your leadership, and all the things that you want to build, how much freedom are you really getting? How much peace are you really getting? How much meaning and significance and truth are you feeling deep down in your soul? Or are you waking up burned out before you even started your day to begin with? The reason I know this all too well is because I did this for over 3 decades myself. Grinding out, creating a company literally from nothing, upwards of 9 figures in annual revenue, only to find myself, when I finally exited, unhappy, unfulfilled, and like I had a complete sense of loss of meaning. Some entrepreneurs, some business owners, maybe like yourself, have also struggled with the same thing. Maybe you've made money but lost meaning. Maybe you're still trying to make money while still trying to find meaning. This is why control is actually getting in the way. If you're using fear-based leadership, by definition, it's your insecurities trying to take control of your decision-making and your nervous system. So consider this. When fear drives leadership, the organization begins to react to the leader's anxiety instead of responding to clear direction. If you can't have clear direction, you're absolutely going to have chaos. And if you have chaos, your team has chaos. If your team has chaos, they're going to want not to come to work every single day because they feel like their uncertainty and their safety is at risk. The more a leader controls, the more exhausted the leader becomes, and the more tired the team becomes, trying to chase chaos day after day, turn after turn. That's why leaders can't have everything simply pass through them. They have to create the processes and the systems and develop the leadership skills to allow the process and system to create a formidable foundation to make sure you can execute with excellence continually with or without your supervision. The second thing I want you to pick up on here is authority builds structure. Power destroys structure, authority builds it. Authority doesn't need constant involvement because it creates the system that guides the behavior, even when the leader isn't present. Healthy authority defines clear roles, responsibilities, expectations so that people know who and how to win without having to ask permission to do so. Authority builds operating systems and meetings and scorecards and processes that keep things aligned and the team moving forward. But more importantly, it gives the team a sense of identity, a sense of meaning, and a sense of purpose because they have something that they actually own. They own the outcome because the leader has allowed the outcome to take shape with their supervision and not with your supervision. When structure is strong, the leader can actually take a step back without losing influence as well. Imagine what it would be like to actually wake up each and every day, take your time, being present, getting your journaling together, going out for a great workout, having a great meal, spending time with those you love, rather than immediately running into a firefight every single day. That is possible, but not until you let go of the control-based chaos that's ultimately keeping you there. When the structure is strong, the leaders can step back. And I promise you, if you want peace, You want money and meaning, you want significance, you want truth, you want impact? Then let yourself and your business breathe. Let the water flow through the hose. Let flow take over and let force die. Which takes us to the third thing I want to mention to you. Control creates dependency. This entire time we've been trying to allude to what it means to be free, what it means to have a business that's growing, a leadership you can be proud of, and a team that you can trust. You can't do that if everything depends on you. If you don't release control and let that clenched hand turn into an open palm, you are always going to exhibit the pain and frustration that comes with trying to control the uncontrollable. Teams that constantly ask the founder what to do usually have been trained to wait for permission because they don't feel like they're trusted, instead of exercising actual ownership. So if everything's still flowing through you, there's a few things at play. One, either they don't feel safe to take it on themselves. Two, they haven't been properly trained and delegated to do so. Or three, they don't have enough security of self to know that they can be relied upon. You see, when leaders solve every problem, the team members slowly stop thinking for themselves. Over time, the organizations become dependent on the leader's presence instead of operating through shared responsibility. This dependency is what creates margin erosion, it creates frustration, it creates unstable growth, but most of all, it steals your peace each and every stinking day. And if anything of this video, I want you to understand that freedom and peace while building something meaningful is absolutely possible. And it's not gonna happen through hustle culture. It's not gonna happen through anxious energy that's just thrown out day after day with grinding and grinding and grinding, waking up at 3 a.m. for the sheer reason just to wake up at 3 a.m. because someone you saw, some influencer you saw said to do so. Instead, I wanna invite you to slow things down so you can speed things up. I can promise you, after building businesses for over 3 decades, I'm telling you right now, nothing has made such a transformation in my own life, which is why I talk about it now, than becoming one part lion and one part lamb. Having the bold, courageous character merge with the empathy, the compassion, and the connectivity simultaneously. And you only get there through presence and surrender. You do not get there through control and domination. People will never trust a domineering leader. However, they will forge and follow behind an empowering leader. An empowering leader knows who they are, why they are, and how they execute who they are day in and day out. So let's think about how you're showing up right now. Let me invite you to consider that. How are you showing up right now? What's in your way internally? What causes the fear and the insecurity to come up? Sometimes arrogance isn't just simply being arrogant. Sometimes it simply means I'm just going to do it myself. Let that sink in for a second. By definition, if we're saying consistently that, well, it all depends on me, or if it's to be, it's up to me, or something, some crazy mumbo jumbo that you hear in the marketplace. Instead, what if part of your leadership training ground is creating leaders that can lead without you, that can be relied upon without you, that can help you create and collaborate the best momentum you'll ever have in your own business and your own mission? Dependency slows growth because businesses can only move as fast as one person's capacity. In order to change your capacity, your character has to follow suit. And you can't develop a really strong character as long as you're operating in chaos and control. Which takes me to our fourth point today. Authority creates clarity. Authority creates clarity. It does not create chaos. Authority establishes clear expectations so people know what success looks like before the problems appear. I promise you, I don't want you to live the same life I lived. You don't have to have the sleepless nights and all the crazy behavior, have chaos going on, and injure people by accident because you're not paying attention. Instead, I just want you to slow down. I want you to breathe. I want you to learn to lead. Lead with compassion, lead with boldness, but lead with integrity constantly. Because as your character shapes, so will your capacity. You see, when goals and roles and standards are defined, teams don't need constant creation or constant correction. What they need is stability. Stability breeds safety. Safety is what gets felt even when you're not in the room. Clarity reduces this confusion and conflict like you wouldn't believe. In healthy organizations, clarity replaces micromanagement because everyone understands their lane. They understand what it is they're called to do, what they're responsible for, and how their role makes a massive difference in the overall business structure. And maybe your leadership style, or maybe the leaders in which you're stewarding, have this mentality that because their role is here and everybody else's role is here, that somehow they're more important. I promise you right now that great stewardship develops leaders from the bottom of the bottom to the top of the top. In fact, leadership cultures that are viable and sustainable and reliable, they don't focus on leading from authority and power and control. They focus on leading from presence, empowerment, education, and truth. They don't seek to be served. Great leaders serve others. Great leaders teach others. Great leaders actually give them the hope and the mentality to overcome their own challenges. If you create a culture that reduces chaos, reduces this constriction, then what will happen is all of a sudden your energy, the whole business is going to have overflow. And let's face it, overflow is always better than not enough. And I want your business to be that, especially in this day and time where anything and everything is thrown at you. Maybe the AI is going to do this, and maybe the people over here are going to do that. What if you stopped worrying about what's happening outside of you and started worrying about what's happening inside of you? What if you started paying attention to the things that strengthen your confidence versus steal from your confidence? What if you decided to be the leader, the embodiment of the integrated leader, the leader that leads by truth and security and safety? That leader's strong. Is that not a leader you want to follow? Do you want to have a leader that you report to in some case or shape or form, or a customer you report to that mistreats you and dominates you and is ill will and critical? One that you don't feel like you'll ever measure up to and you'll ever please? Guess what? Our teams don't want to feel that way either. They want to know that they're successful. They want to know that what they do matters. They want to know that there's meaning in how they actually show up for the business and you. Let's finish up with this. The lion sets boundaries. The lamb builds trust. The lion sets boundaries. Yes, they're bold. Yes, they're courageous, but more importantly, they're protective. The lamb builds trust. They're not people-pleasing, they're not over-functioning, and they're not pushovers. A wise lamb is simply there and present, and that's where wisdom flows. You see, the lion side of leadership establishes standards and boundaries and directions, so the mission stays protected and authentic. The lamb side of the leadership builds trust, care, and relational safety, so people know they can trust you. And I promise you, if they feel like they can trust you, they will follow you to hell and back. Boundaries without compassion feel harsh, but compassion without boundaries feel chaotic. Integrated leaders combine both, creating environments where people feel both guided and respected. As we wrap up for the day, I want to invite you to consider where you are in your own leadership journey. And if you want some mentorship along the way, feel free to just go into the show notes and check out the various things that we have that we can help you with. But in the meantime, remember this: control tries to force outcomes through pressure. Authority, authentic authority, creates order so outcomes can happen naturally. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, if you want to see a deep dive podcast, go ahead and check out the video right here. And if you want more of content just like this, that is step by step, then go ahead and check this video right here. Until then, God bless. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.